Hey friends, it's Awkwardly Random with Cinthya and Michelle, where we talk about random topics.
Anything and everything awkward is on the table, so let's dive right in.
Hey y'all, welcome back
Hi.
to another episode of Awkwardly Random.
You thought we were going to post this week, did you? I know, we thought the same thing. I'm just kidding.
You gotta say with Cinthya and Michelle.
With Cinthya and Michelle.
That's
if you don't know
right.
us by now and you're watching us or listening to us, what the hell? What the hell? I'm just kidding. No, it's okay.
I know, we are 20-something episodes in. I think this is episode 27. I could
really?
be wrong, but I think we're in episode 27.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, we didn't start recording our episodes so recently. So if you want to listen to the other episodes and like catch up, you can find them on Spotify or like Apple Podcasts. It's pretty much anywhere where you can listen to a podcast.
And it's free.
Yeah.
So feel free to give it a listen. You can listen while you're on your way to work, when you're getting ready in the morning,
when you're drinking your coffee.
Exactly.
When
Speaking of, yours looks really good, Michelle.
It's so good. I love my coffee.
If
you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, for those that are just listening, Michelle has a really nice New York mug. It looks pretty big. Low key.
Pretty big.
It's like a golden brown.
Hand. It's like a little bit bigger than my hand.
You're like your palm.
My palm. My palm.
Yeah.
Yo no hablo inglés, ¿ok? Déjame en paz.
Okay, vamos a hablar en español entonces. Anyway, we'll speak in Spanglish.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, we will.
We'll do some Spanglish. We do eventually want to do an episode in Spanish or a few episodes in Spanish. I think that would be cool. Obviously, at least for me, I am more comfortable with English, but I need to be better about my Spanish.
Yeah, I'm okay with both, but if I were to choose a preference, it would be English. But I'm okay with Spanish. I feel like sometimes some words just come to me in Spanish, and I'm like, how the fuck do you say this in English?
You know
and
what?
Sorry for my cursing. I need to stop doing that so much.
This is a safe space. You can say whatever you want. I like speaking to you, Michelle, because, well, for a lot of reasons, but one of them is like, if I can't find the word in English, I will say it in Spanish and you know what I'm talking about. You know? You get it. Versus like other people who maybe don't speak Spanish or don't speak English. I don't know. I have to figure out another way to communicate what I'm trying to express, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I feel that. And I get what you're saying. And some days for me, my Spanish, it just the day, I don't know if it's like my mood. I just cannot sometimes find the words in Spanish. And it reminds me of that TikTok about Cardi B. She's like, cuando yo digo, ay, disculpa que mi español es muy ratata or something like that. Yeah, that sometimes it feels like happens to me too. So I speak both languages, but do I really?
You speak Spanglish. Yeah, you do. Yes. You do.
I know. I'm just making fun of myself.
Yeah, no,
People
I feel
are like,
that.
shut up, girl.
I'm the same way. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're back.
We're back for another episode. I'm good. Been busy with work. I feel like we always say this. Busy with work. But I feel like that's just what, like, I haven't taken a vacation anywhere in the past year, partly because financially, but also because we're still in a freaking pandemic.
Yeah.
All sorts of things. So I'm just working, essentially.
The realities of capitalism.
Yeah.
As I sip my coffee.
I have to pay the bills. I can't like just not go to work.
And I'm sure if you're listening to this, you are kind of like us. You were always working, but hopefully I definitely think we need to. Yeah, hopefully not, but hopefully we get better at setting our boundaries.
Yes.
And doing things that are good for us, that we love to do, that will like make us enjoy life better. But yeah, we unfortunately right now it's our reality. But yeah, we feel you. Yeah. As you're getting ready for work.
I know.
Or as you're getting ready, or what if you're maybe listening to this while you're doing work, like we feel you.
We're right there with you.
Yeah.
How have you been, Michelle, since we last spoke?
I don't even want to answer because it's the same question. It's the same answer as you. I am just working. That's all I'm doing.
I got you.
Right now it's the weekend, so it's really nice just to not do some work and to record this and talk with you and enjoy the weekend. So yeah, I mean that's all the updates that I have.
But do you actually enjoy your weekends? Like genuinely enjoy your weekends? Because I mean, I do and I don't, because I'll be doing things, I go to the movies like I've mentioned in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go on walks, I'll hang out with friends and stuff, but I still in the back of my mind, I'm like thinking, okay, I have to get these notes done before Sunday night or before Monday. I have to do this report. I have meetings this week, right? Like I never fully disconnect from the work. And
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
that
that's
happens to
such
me
an
too.
issue for me. That's for me, right? And I don't know. I love to hear when people can compartmentalize and know, okay, this is my Saturday. Saturday is for doing what I want to do things that bring me joy. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to think about work, but my brain is just so wired to think about work.
I understand. I feel the same way. In the back of my head, I always have like, oh, this thing I have to do this week at work, this thing I have to do.
Right.
So that does happen, but I think for me it comes in phases. So maybe I'll like watch a movie where like I don't have to think about it. And then once I'm done with the movie, I'm like, oh shit, I have to get this done in the week coming up. So
yeah,
I think it comes and goes for me during the weekend, but I try to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
But it's hard to. So I feel that too.
That's what this podcast does for me. I genuinely look forward to us doing these recordings and even just like meeting, talking about what we're going to do for the next episode. It's a nice way to distract myself from work, but also in an intentional, meaningful way. Like it's not just like, this is really fun for me. I really enjoy this. So this is almost like this is like a coping mechanism for me too, right? This is like a self-care for me in a way.
Yeah, I really enjoy having our talks too. So.
Me too.
Oh, all right, look at us.
Oh, we're so cute.
I know. Okay.
So, today's main topic is going to be about family.
Familia.
La familia. And we're going to get into why we're going to talk about it and what it means to us and all that kind of stuff, right? But before...
It's about to get deep.
I know. But let's start on a lighter note.
Let's start light. Yeah.
As we noted on our previous episode, that we want to introduce this segment of random questions, because I feel like these are questions that spark up just random different types of conversation, and it could spark conversation that you maybe never had before, or make you think about, or like take in different perspectives about how people see things or do things, or whatever. So Michelle, you had a random question of the day.
I did. It's so really random, and people are going to be like, what the hell?
You have one and I have one. So we'll do yours in the beginning before we get into our main topic, and then we'll do mine at the end.
Okay. So my random question is really silly. But I think I'm just interested. I think it is. Or I'm just interested to see people's routines in the morning, or how like they function. And this is something that I feel like people do subconsciously. Or maybe they don't, maybe they actually decide to do this. So my question would be, what do you do first, like your hair or your makeup, if you even wear makeup, and then your outfit, or like change into your outfit for the day? Or do you change into your outfit first and then you do like your hair and your makeup and all these other things?
Okay. I never really thought about it until you asked that question.
I didn't either, to be honest. This a random ass question. It just came up in my head. I was like, that's a good question. I wonder what Beans does.
That is a good question. I typically don't change into my outfit of the day until a few minutes before I have to go, because I don't want to stain it, like when I eat breakfast or whatever, or get makeup on it, or, I just would rather just wait until the end. But so what I do is either I kind of do my hair first, then makeup, and then I stay in like the pajamas as I make breakfast and stuff like that. And then I'll change into my outfit. It's not always that way, but typically that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
But the makeup for me is mainly just like some foundation, mascara, and like that's kind of it. Like I don't really do. I do the basics for work, because so like this summer, right? I spent a lot of time outside. We'll go to the park. We'll do a walk around the neighborhood with the kiddos that I work with, the families that I work with. And so I'm like sweating my ass off, and it's just not worth it to put all this makeup on if I'm going to be sweating.
So you said you only do foundation, mascara, and
what else? Sometimes it'd be like a brow
thing. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's pretty much it for me though. Yeah. Like on a typical work day.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that.
What do you do, Michelle? What's your routine like?
So I'm not gonna run down through my entire routine, but normally what I do is I definitely in the mornings have to wash my face or take a shower. Maybe I'll take a shower the day before or take a shower that morning, but I need to take a shower. Hence why I am showered. But every day pretty much, right? And so that's the first thing that I do, and I brush my teeth. So it makes sense to me because I actually had to think about it that after I wash my face and brush my teeth, I can just or after I'm done taking a shower, I'll literally brush my hair and do my hair and then do my makeup because I'm already there in that space and it just makes sense to me. And then afterwards, I'll like pick out my outfit. And just like you, before I have to head out, that's when I'll change because normally I'm only leaving for work. So I'll probably like wear some dress pants and like a nice shirt. And I love my comfy clothes. So as long as I can be in my comfy clothes, that's the way to go for me.
Yeah. You're so logical in your steps.
Yeah. I didn't actually think about it till I didn't actually know I was doing this till I actually did it, and then I did it this morning and I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely what I do.
Yeah Just so y'all know, I do wash my face and I do brush my teeth. I was just answering the question of the makeup, what comes first.
I know what
I brush my teeth, y'all. But I will say
I don't think anybody was thinking that.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
I don't really shower in the mornings. I very very rarely shower in the mornings. I'm definitely more of a night shower. I don't know why. Like I have this icky feeling of going to bed without showering. Like I just don't want to bring the day with me into bed, you know?
Oh, I feel
and that's just me. But it
do you wash your hair every day?
So I used to, but I know that's so bad for your hair. So I'm trying not to. But then of course your hair gets really oily. Well, at least mine does. So I'm trying to work my way towards like expanding the length of time that I go without washing my hair.
Yeah, same.
For now it's like every other day or every 2 days.
Okay, yeah. I go 3 days without washing my hair, but I have to wash my body every day.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. I have to do that too.
Yeah, same.
I know some people that shower like twice a day, 3 times a day. I'm like, how do y'all do that?
Yeah, and I know somebody who don't shower that often. So
that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's so interesting. We both had similar but different answers. That's cool. That's cool. I kind of already knew of your routine because I lived with you for a year.
Yeah. Same with you.
Yeah. You definitely knew that I was a night showerer.
Yeah. That was which made it easier for us when we lived together because I was the one in the bathroom in the mornings.
Yeah. Yep. It worked out. That's cool. I like that question. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. And if y'all want to comment and let us know what your routine is like or what do you do first, let us know.
I hope you let us know. Not to be creepy about it, but like
no. We're just genuinely interested to see what different people do because everybody has different routines.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, y'all.
We're gonna talk about family now. Are you ready?
My
I think it's gonna be a good conversation.
I think so too.
Let's get into why we decided to talk about family.
Yeah. So I feel like family is something that anybody or everybody can relate to some capacity, right? Whether it's family has been so important and so formative in my life and it's been such like my family is my rock, or I've had really strained relationships with family members and family. Everybody I think relates to it in some way, whether it's more healthy or more traumatic or more toxic, right? There's some connection to family that somebody has.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think everyone has some sort of sense of family and their own definition of it,
right?
And I think that is relatable. I think that's important to talk about. And before we dive into this conversation, I know that when it comes to talking about family, it can be a little touchy, especially because coming from us, we're both from Mexican families, and families, I guess we can start talking about it now, right? Like in our families, I think we were both raised that family is super important. Like you are family no matter what because you're blood and all these things. And I think that's why some people don't really talk about the issues that they have with family members, or maybe your family is great, or but I tend to see that in the Mexican culture in terms of like the way that we view family is very like close knit and tight.
Right.
And maybe you don't. Maybe you come from a Mexican family and it's not like that. I definitely agree, especially with certain relatives. But let's get into it, though. That's just something that I wanted to say, that like this conversation isn't for us to call anybody out or to, talk bad about anybody specifically. This is just about like our experience and about family and what we think. And it's just us talking about how we feel and our experiences. So I don't want people to take this the wrong way.
No, we're not trying to preach anything or sway you into believing any certain thing about family or none of that.
I think everybody has their own definition of a family, and I think everyone should respect that.
That's why I feel like it's so, like, that's the beauty of talking about family or just family in general, right? Like I feel like today it's so loosely defined, that term family, because it's like it's on a spectrum. Like it just looks so different for everybody, but it's still family.
And there's no one way that is right or wrong.
Right. Exactly. It's whatever's right for you as the individual person. So that's a great way to preface it. And I just want to ask you, Michelle, what does that mean to you? How would you define family?
If you're watching YouTube, you can see just all my fucking faces. So I'm gonna
your eyes are really wide, like,
I know. I'm just like, okay, so what does family mean?
And you don't have to have an answer, right? That's also okay.
So I don't think I actually have a definition of what it means to me, but I can tell you what I thought about when we were thinking about this question. And what family means to me, I immediately thought of like my close family members, and how like this, I felt this sense, or I always feel this sense of like love, unconditional love, when I think about certain people in my family. And so that's what I think about, unconditional love, that we have each other's backs. Like when shit goes down, like I will be there. I know they will be there for me. And that's what I thought about initially. But I don't think I have like a definition of like, this is what it means to me. But I guess if I'm thinking about it now and just talking it through, I would say it's relationships that show that we reciprocate unconditional love. You know what I mean? So I think, to simplify it, I guess that's what I would define it now that I'm thinking about it and talking it through. What about you? What does it mean to you? Do you have a definition of it, or just what do you think about it?
Growing up, it goes back to what you talked about with us growing up in the Mexican culture, right? When I thought of family, I thought of blood relatives, right? My tios, my cousins, anybody that I was related to either by blood or by marriage, they are family, right? Separate from friends. But I thought as I got older, I'm like, okay, but how do I think of family in terms of my values? And I value unconditional love, right? That's one of my big values. So as I got older, I started to realize, okay, I'm actually closer to, for example, you, Michelle, than some of my cousins or some of my aunts and uncles. And I would consider you, in terms of, if we're looking at my values, more of my family than some of my blood relatives, So I feel like it's changed over time. But I see it as like, who are the people in my life that are my support system, my genuine support system, right? Who would love me unconditionally, support me, give me that center of, I don't know, just like a reciprocal, caring and supportive relationships. It's reciprocal, right? Like I would do the same thing for you, right? So I don't know. That's kind of how I look at it. It's not like an actual definition, I guess, but I just like I had to think about like, who would I go above and beyond for, and who would do the same for me.
Yeah. What you said kind of made me think, because you pointed out like family is this based off of values. And correct me if I'm wrong. But you do have other blood relatives,
right,
that maybe don't necessarily fall within that definition. Is that what you're saying?
I guess, yeah. I mean, are they still family because they're blood related? Maybe yes.
That's up to you. I feel like that's up to you to decide, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I definitely feel that. I feel like I understand that.
Right.
But I think it is because I'm conditioned to think this way, and I was brought up this way. Same. That regardless if I haven't talked to you in a long time, like you're on like. So, okay. So for just a little background. So my parents are divorced, right? I grew up mostly with my mom's side of the family. And so a lot of my cousins and aunts and uncles from my dad's side, I have not talked to in years. And after you said that, obviously they're like relatives, right. But they, in the tradition of a Mexican family, they would still be defined as my family, just not my immediate family. But I don't necessarily always tie that into an emotional feeling. Right. You know what I mean? It's just like, right. Oh, that's my family. But that doesn't mean that, like, obviously they're my family and my relatives. And in general, if someone ever like wants to ever reach out to me or needs something from me, I will try to help because that's how I was raised. But I don't know if that's because they're my family or that's just because I was raised that way, to like, if I'm able to help, I will help. You know what I mean? I would never shun anybody out, even if I was never really close to them. You know what I mean? I don't know. Or maybe I have. I guess we can talk a little bit about it when we get a little bit further into the family conversation. Yeah. But I still feel that, like, even though I'm not close to certain cousins or tios, there would still be family because we're blood related.
Right. Right.
But that doesn't mean that we're close. Yeah. And I think that that's what's so interesting about this.
Yeah, I think there is something special about being blood related to somebody. I think that is special. But also you have to consider how, like, do they really love you, right? Do you actually have a true connection with them? Like, there's, like you said, there's that emotional, there's the we're blood related, and there's the are we emotionally connected, right? Like, I have a cousin who, her and I feel like she's like a soulmate. She's like my soulmate. Like, we are so in sync, and I can go to her for anything, and it makes it, even to me, there's that added element of we are blood related. Like, there's that, that I think that there is something special about that.
Yeah. And I know you've said this before with some of your cousins, like primas hermanas, because we were raised to be that close, and I have some of those connections with some of my cousins, that it feels like we're siblings, but we're so close because of that blood relationship, and that's what brought us together. Exactly. So I think I do definitely think it has to do with the culture too. Yeah. Of why we feel this way.
Yeah. And I think that's also, that's why you and I think are having a hard time with this.
Yeah.
Because of how we were raised. And then also just like, I've changed my views over time and my values, and like, what do I truly value?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it, like, that's why we don't really have an exact answer for this, which is okay, right? It's okay.
I definitely think it's okay. So I know you also said, you see me as like family because you're a little bit closer to, like, some of our values really align with each other. And I would agree with you that, so let me ask you, I agree with that. But like, so you think you can choose family? Like, I know right now, when it comes to like talking about family, it's different for different people, and you can choose family, or what is known as chosen family. I've heard this type of wording multiple times, and I think it's true. I think you can choose your family and create those bonds. So I guess we would agree with that, and that's not really a question, so never mind.
Hell yeah, you can have chosen family.
Yeah. So I definitely agree. I would say that I have chosen family too. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily negate the family that I do have. And I think people need to understand that, because I feel like when people are like, oh, I have chosen family, that doesn't mean that you're disowning that blood relative family, whoever, whatever relationship you have. It just means you're adding more people into your life.
It's not an either or.
Yes.
It's an and.
Yes. Correction, people.
Right. And so how do you go about choosing your chosen family? How do you even come to that decision of who do you consider your family, right?
Yeah.
Who do you include into that definition that you make up for yourself?
Yeah, not that many people, to be honest.
That's okay. You're very
I would
selective.
include, I am, and I think it has to do with what I will talk later about.
Yeah.
But it would have to be you and like Jesus, my boyfriend, my long-term partner. Mm-hmm. And the way that I picked, it sounds weird, picked or chose, because I feel like we mutually chose each other. You know, like I didn't just like say, I want you.
Right.
Like I didn't do that.
Y'all, we had to interview to be Michelle's family.
Oh, we had hell no. Yeah. No, I didn't.
The whole process. I'm just kidding, y'all.
No, yeah, but it sounds weird to say it that way, but I think we mutually chose each other to be in each other's lives based off of like our values, based off of just like common interests, based off of just like being good people, I think, and surrounding yourself with people who genuinely care about you and genuinely want to see you be a better person and will check up on you. So I definitely think you can have chosen family. It just feels weird saying that because I feel like we all chose each other in a way, you know what I mean? I don't know. It feels weird for me saying that, like those specific words, but I do feel that about you and Jesus and his family, because obviously like we've been together for a long time, and so I see his family also as an extension of my family. Even though technically we're not married, I don't think that matters.
Yeah. No, I don't think that. I think that's irrelevant. I think that's very separate. I think about the emotional aspect of it. Like look at the people in your life. Who are the ones that are most present? Which of those relationships have you been able to nurture and build a strong emotional connection with reciprocally, right? This is a mutual thing. It goes both ways. Like what do you value in relationships with others, and then like do they share that same value, right? Like and I feel like you and I, when we formed our friendship, it was very natural. It wasn't forced. I wasn't just like, okay, I choose you, you can be my friend, you know, like it questions. Right. It was just very organic, very natural. We realized we had a lot in common. We continue to learn more about each other. You've seen me in hard times, great times, all the times.
Yeah,
right. Like me. It's, you know, and then we're still here.
Yeah, we're still here.
I think that says a lot.
I think so too. Yeah. And I want to just go off of that. That I think when we talk about family or chosen family, we think about all the good things.
Yeah.
And how like I know we talked about like unconditional love and all these things, but I think that doesn't mean that we can't hold each other accountable and challenge each other and make each other better, because I feel like when we think about, I think that's part of unconditional love, is trying to make each other better in a certain capacity and without it being toxic behaviors. You know what I mean?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Am I making sense? Well, I'm saying like, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to give an example. Like you hold me accountable for things and you challenge me and all these things. I think because you genuinely care, not because you're trying to hurt me in any way.
Yeah.
Right? And because I understand that, I welcome that. You know, I encourage you to like challenge me, and I'm going to do the same for you.
Yeah. And you have, and other people have. And I think that's part of the relationship of family and chosen family, or any type of relationship, to be honest. I think that there should be that love, but there also should be that accountability. And that doesn't necessarily always feel good, especially if it's directed towards you, but it's something that you have to come to understand,
right?
Because not everyone is perfect, and that's okay.
Yeah. And one last thing about being like about unconditional love is that I see it as you love this person or you do these things for this person without wanting anything in return necessarily. Mm-hmm. It's because you genuinely care about them that mm-hmm. you're doing this, mm-hmm. right? That I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to hear you out, or you can vent to me, you can talk to me, and I would love to go to your party. I would love to go to your wedding, right? If like all these things, I want to be a part of your life. Mm-hmm. And I'm not mm-hmm. seeking anything like it's not transactional mm-hmm. is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree. And just to go off of that, when people think about unconditional love, like loving somebody no matter what, mm-hmm. I'm not talking about accepting abusive behavior. I'm not talking about accepting toxic behavior. If someone is doing that to you, you don't have to love them unconditionally, even if they're family.
Right.
And I just want to be clear about that, because that can be bad, especially like, I think we need to be, it's okay. I think let's get into it. I was
going to say that's a great segue into toxicity, talking about toxic relationships, toxic family dynamics. Mm-hmm. Those
have
exist.
You ever? Yeah, they do. And have you ever experienced any toxic relationships in your family?
Yes, I have. Have you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I have some stories.
I think we're definitely not the only ones.
I don't think we're the only ones. No. And I think that there is a range of toxic behaviors or problematic behaviors that people exhibit.
Right.
Obviously, because we're not perfect and all these other things are factors into it. But I do think that everyone at some capacity has some sort of family member who does exhibit like toxic behaviors or problematic behaviors. And I have experienced that.
So what are some behaviors that you've seen or some signs that you've seen within your family or who you view as family? Mm-hmm. What have you experienced?
It's gonna get deep.
Whatever you're comfortable sharing with.
I know. I'm gonna take my time and like think about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I have. And like I said, it's been a range. So some examples would be like either family members gossiping about certain people in the family. Maybe when I was younger, I used to wear my hair down and like have it really messy, and like I would get teased about it from my family. I would say that would be a toxic behavior that I experienced. Or like mm-hmm. people would comment about my body because my body fluctuates a lot, so like specifically my weight, that I would say would be a toxic behavior and obviously affected me growing up and still does. Another thing I would say, more specifically, my relationship with my dad. Mm-hmm. So for a lot of people who don't know, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but my parents were like separated when I was younger, like around, I think 5, and officially got divorced around when I was like 8. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get into their relationship, but it just wasn't a healthy one. And my sisters and I experienced and saw a lot throughout our childhood and during that time. And honestly, it affected me and still affects me.
Right.
But it wasn't their relationship that really affected me. It was the behaviors that I saw from my dad. Mm-hmm. And this isn't to call him out. And I don't, I'm just sharing my experiences about it. And he just did a lot of things that traumatized me and affected me. And it was really hard to navigate it as a child, because your parent, you get taught that they're supposed to love you, that like they're supposed to love you unconditionally, that they mm-hmm. should take care of you. And that just wasn't my experience with him when I was a child. Mm-hmm. I do have to give him credit now though, but now that I'm an adult, I've seen him try to change his behavior and try to build a relationship with me. Mm-hmm. So I do have to give him that credit, but at the same time, I can't sit here and say that I have a strong relationship with my dad, because I right. don't. Right. And the reason why I'm saying that, it wasn't because of his relationship with my mother. And I think a lot of people who come from divorced parents think, oh, like it was their relationship that affected you. No, it was my relationship with my dad that affected me, regardless of whatever they were going through. And in order for people to understand that, I kind of have to be a little bit more specific in terms of like, my dad wasn't really present when I was younger. Like, I don't remember ever really spending any birthdays with him. Maybe like I spent one birthday out of my all these years that I've been alive. Christmases, maybe like 2 Christmases. Like, yeah, I obviously I knew who my father was and like we would spend time together like a couple summers here and there, but there was a few chunk of times, especially in high school and college, where we just did not talk. So it was like years that we didn't talk. And so when you don't have that foundational relationship, especially with a parent, it can be hard as a child. And the thing that would bother me about that wasn't necessarily the relationship with him, because I grew up, I got older, I learned how to deal with it. You know what I mean? And you build these sort of relationships and these walls. And I think that's why I keep a close knit of selective friends and who I consider family and stuff like that. So I think that definitely had a role with it. But I also really disliked how other family members, I felt like I was being judged as if it was my job to fix the relationship, or it was my job to reach out when I was a child. And when it comes to parent-children relationships, it shouldn't fall on the child.
On the child, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Oh my God, I'm getting a little emotional.
That's okay. It's a safe space. I appreciate you sharing all of that with me and with our Awkwardly Random podcast community.
I know.
Yeah, that's a lot, especially as a child. You know, I am now officially, I guess, a child of separated parents, but I'm experiencing this in my later 20s, so it's a little bit different. But I can relate in the sense that my dad is not present. At least he's not really present anymore, right?
Yeah.
So, and yeah, whose job is it to rekindle or even try to make an effort? Probably not the child. It's the parent. It's the parent who is responsible for this.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God, hold on, give me a minute.
Take your time. Take your time.
Oh my God, let me just clean up my tears.
It's okay, Mish.
Did it make sense what I was saying?
It made a lot of sense what you were saying. Yeah. I cannot personally, I don't fully understand what you went through or what you're going through, because I don't have that same experience, but it makes sense why you're feeling the way you feel, because that's a very strained, that's a very, very prevalent, very important relationship in your life, one with the parent. And this is not to say, like, I don't fully agree that everyone needs specifically a mom and a dad, but
I agree.
You know what I mean?
We should get into that. Yeah.
You with your parent, right? You had this expectation that, and yeah, we all grew up with this condition. We are all conditioned to believe and value that parent-child relationship. The parent is supposed to take care of you and love you and support you and be there for you no matter what.
Yeah.
And when a parent isn't able to meet that need, especially for a child, yes, of course, that's going to have really, really strong impacts on the child, not only in their childhood, but as they get older, right? You said that it's still impacting you now, right? In your late 20s. Oh my God, we're almost 30.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, like, that's that. How do you navigate that, right? How do you address it? How do you cope? I know you said you have to give your dad credit because he's trying, right? And whatever,
which is a lot better than what it used to be like,
right? And you have to consider, well, what does trying look for him, right? And is that good enough for you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's something that, that at least I would think about. My dad's no longer really present, so him giving me a call, is that him trying? us talking for 5 minutes, very surface level things, is that really trying? Right?
Yeah.
So
I definitely agree with that. I think you should decide that for yourself.
Right.
And I think what I would say to people is, you know yourself, the relationship that you have with whatever family member this is.
Right.
You can set your boundaries, but then you could also vocalize what you need.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I definitely vocalized what I needed from my father, and he just chose not to.
Right.
And I learned how that affected me, obviously, and it still does.
Right.
But then I also learned now as an adult that although we may only talk maybe like once a month for like 10 minutes, it is something, my definition is, because how I see it, is him trying. This is something that he's starting to do that he didn't do when I was younger, when he didn't try at all. So for some people it may not be enough, but for me, I think it is.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. And I think if you're going through this type of relationship, I would say take it however you want to take it, at whatever step you want to take it. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. It just depends on what you want.
Right.
And don't let anybody tell you, oh, like, he's your father, he's your mother, or he's your sister, like, he's your family, you need to get over it. I had so many family members sometimes tell me that was so invalidating.
That in and of itself is also toxic.
And toxic because obviously you don't know what it's like. Maybe you know this family member, but you didn't grow up with my experiences, you know what I mean? And it's so invalidating.
Right.
And I would never say that to anybody, especially if you have a family member who genuinely hurt you and was very toxic towards you. I would never say that to anybody. So I would say take it at your own pace. And even now, like with my dad and my sisters, like I would never tell, like, my relationship with my dad looks different than my sister's relationship with my dad, and we don't judge each other for that. We don't like give each other like unsolicited advice, because we know like the experiences that we went through. And we definitely, I think, need to respect other people's decisions and their boundaries that they set for themselves.
Right.
And you don't owe anybody anything, even if they're family. And that may sound a little harsh. I don't think it sounds harsh, but I definitely don't think that you owe anybody anything.
Yeah. That makes me think of detachment. Like you can keep an emotional or physical distance if you need to, if that's what's going to help you, right? Like it's more of understanding that you're not responsible for other people's feelings, opinions, reactions, wants, or needs, even if they are your parent. That's not your responsibility.
Yeah.
And setting boundaries. You had mentioned this. You talked about setting boundaries. If it's just seeing them for the holidays, or if it's just having one phone call a week, or if it's just having lunch with them once a month, if that's a boundary you are willing to set, if that's what's going to I don't know, help the relationship or help you in any way, if that's all you can give and all you would want, that is okay. You know, it's that's what it is. It's your boundary, and you decide what your boundary is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be that it's just simply a phone call once a week, once every 2 weeks, or grabbing lunch, right? Versus
it could be whatever.
You have to talk to them all the time, and you have to have this really strong connection. Sometimes that's just not realistic.
It's not at all. Yeah. And I would say that. Yeah.
And so this leads me to another thing. With your dad trying and all these things, do you feel like in general people can change, or family members can change? It's another loaded question.
It's so loaded. Honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, as a child, obviously I wanted my father to change,
right?
And as I got older, I realized that no matter how much I wanted that didn't matter. What mattered was whether he wanted to change and whether he actually took the steps to change. Obviously, I wasn't there. I don't know what he's done or what he's doing to change, but his actions have shown me that he's at least trying to some capacity.
Yeah.
So I would say yes, people can change if they want to for themselves. But you hoping that someone's going to change, you holding out, or you trying to endure this painful relationship for somebody else when you don't think that they're taking those steps to actually change.
Yeah.
I don't see that as a good thing.
Yeah, I think people have the capacity to make the decision to change, right? They can make, first they have to acknowledge that that something needs to change.
Yeah,
Like
they
some
need to
people,
acknowledge their behavior or whatever it is that they're doing. They need to acknowledge it.
Because some people may be exhibiting these toxic things and be hurting their loved ones and they don't even know it. Like you have to acknowledge it and understand, okay, something needs to change here, right? I'm doing something that's hurting my loved ones or whatever. And so I think people can make the effort to change and can eventually reach change, but that's up to them, right? That's out of our control.
Yeah.
Like you cannot control that person.
Yeah.
And then you also think about like, okay, what's the likelihood that they would actually want to change or take the steps to address their behaviors, right? Like, and it depends on your relationship and who they are maybe, but like would you be willing to be patient enough to give them the time to change? Would you give them the chance? Right? I think it depends. I don't think there's a clear answer, right?
Yeah,
who are you willing to give the space to and the time to? And like change takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
And I would say you don't owe somebody that time.
Right.
You definitely don't.
Right.
And I don't want to come off as like bitter or mean, but as I just think in general, you don't really owe people anything.
Right.
Even if they're your family. I said it before. I want to say it again because I really believe that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. Like you have to decide, do you want to give them the time?
Yeah.
Do you want to give them that? Are you willing to be given that patience to give them the chance to change?
Yeah. And you don't have to decide right now, right then.
Right.
Like things can change. Like I said, for a long time, in my later years of college and in law school, I just did not talk to my father.
Right.
And I really didn't think I was ever going to talk to him again and all these other things, but things change and that's okay. So just because you set a boundary or, you know, distance yourself from them, that doesn't mean that like you might not want to revisit it. You know, I think things change or might not change, or maybe you continue to feel the way that you feel and you're entitled to that, and that's okay.
Well, and let's say that you still, for example, do not talk to your dad, or you still choose not to. I think that's also okay. Like I think it's completely okay to sever ties with family members, even if it's a parent. Because I mean, think about toxic relationships can impact all other areas of your life, your health, your sleep, your work, other relationships that you have with other people. Like it can reach a point where you just are stressed every time you interact with them. You have these negative feelings, like they're just not willing to make the change. At what point do you make that decision of, okay, I'm done, right? And that's up to you decide.
Yeah. Can I say that I have went through that phase so many times throughout my life with that relationship with my dad? And it's definitely okay to do that. And don't feel bad for if people, I feel like other people will have their opinions about it. Normally, the reason why I'm saying that is because people would be like, I think we mentioned this before, like they're your family, like, he'll be gone soon, or like, don't you care about them? And like, you're so mean, you're so selfish because this is your parent. You have to love them no matter what. And I think that's really toxic. I don't think that that is true. And the people who say that aren't really understanding or validating your experiences.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree. You can't, how do you judge that? How do you judge
people
someone for that?
People do. That's what sucks.
And I'm sure I have too. And I'm sure I still have a lot to work on. And I'm still working to like be more empathetic and put myself in people's shoes and really understand what they're going through, even though I'm not going through the same thing. But everybody like goes through things differently, experiences things differently. You know, me and my siblings all went through the same thing with my parents, but each one of us is experiencing it in different ways.
Yeah.
And so you have to be mindful of that.
And you cope with it in different ways too.
Right, exactly. And so just be mindful of that, please.
Yeah.
I would say.
But yeah, so what would you how do you address this then? How do you cope with it? I know we kind of touched a little bit about it, but we said setting boundaries, like you doing whatever you need to do for yourself.
Yeah.
Anything else to add on that before we move on?
No, I mean, I think the boundaries was the big one. Acknowledging, first of all, is this toxic for me? How so? How is it presenting itself in my life? Well, for me, it's like, okay, I just don't feel good when I interact with you. You know, I just don't. I have these negative feelings. I'm always stressed. Or maybe it's like an abusive relationship or a manipulative one. Like, how is this impacting me? It's okay to set those boundaries. It's okay to sever those ties if you need to. Ultimately, you do what you feel is going to be best for you and your physical, emotional, and mental health. So it can be hard. I'm not saying it's easy and like it's a one and done thing, but I think you just have to be aware of how it's impacting you. And is it worth it? Are you willing to endure all of that? Can you endure all of that? Right? I don't know. It just and who ultimately pays the price? You, because you're putting them before you.
This made me think of something. When people talk about forgiving and forgetting,
right?
Can you still move on from a certain situation if you don't forgive? I mean, if you don't forgive and you don't forget. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, do you have to forgive and forget in order to move on? Is a better question.
No.
To rephrase it.
I don't think you need to forget necessarily. You just have to know yourself and know, okay, can I still, like, you hurt me in this way, but can we still have a relationship after this? Am I willing to do this with you? And I think that also says a lot. But I don't really have a clear answer for that because I'm not really sure.
Yeah, no, I was just asking because people say that.
Yeah.
Like, just forgive and forget. I think it depends on the person. Yeah. I don't think you need to forget. I don't think you need to forgive in order to move on.
Right.
And I think it depends on the person, whether they want to do those things or not. And regardless of whether you do them or not, you can still move on.
Right.
I mean, it'll be hard, but with anything that's hard, you go through it. But I still think you can move on from it and like grow and heal. Yeah. So yeah, I think you don't need to you could do whatever you want and still move on.
Yeah.
So no, you don't have to forgive and forget to move on.
Speaking of moving on, we talked about it's okay to sever ties. It's okay to cut off family members. That's totally, completely fine. Can you or should you force? I'm sure I know the answer to this already, that what you're going to say, but like, should you force toxic relationships? Like, do you not force the toxic relationship, but force a relationship with a family member, even though they're toxic? And we've kind of talked about like, you don't like, no, you can set those boundaries. But I know it's hard. Like, there's some people that, and I like, for me, right, I kind of have this internal conflict with what's going on with my dad. Like, I'm really hurt by what he did. And but I still love him, you know. But it's like a push and pull, you know. How much? But I don't think you should force it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. So you're saying you shouldn't force a relationship, but at the same time, you want to fix that relationship, which I think is different.
Well, it's like I have this hope that things are going to change, but are they really? Is that realistic?
You don't know.
Right.
I don't think we don't know. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having hope.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with you feeling how you feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't think that you having that hope is forcing it. I wouldn't say that. I think forcing it is like, oh, I have to go to this dinner because I need to talk to my dad. And a lot of the times I felt that. And no, I don't think you need to force a relationship. But at the same time, I think we need to talk. We need to, like you said, understand what this toxic behavior is and how it's affecting us. Because like I said in the beginning, obviously the relationship with my dad is a lot it affects me a lot more, obviously, as you can tell, versus like me having to deal with like an aunt who I haven't seen in a while who comments about like my life and the fact that I'm not married. You know, I would say that's a toxic behavior too, but it wouldn't affect me the same way as it does with my relationship with my dad. So I think when I look at my family members, I think each of them has some sort of problematic thing that they either say or think, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna cut them off, because like when we talked about family, we want them to be better. We want, like, so if I don't agree with certain politics or certain things about life, which I think would be toxic, I would challenge them and hold them accountable, because they're my family and I want them to do better. But that doesn't mean I'll cut them off. You know what I mean?
And then what happens when they don't? Yeah, sorry.
So I think it would depend on how the toxic behavior is affecting me.
Right. And then what happens if they don't? You know, you challenge them, you try to hold them accountable, have these conversations with them. What happens if nothing changes? Like it's still the same toxicity. You know, how much do you keep trying? Right?
Yeah, I think it's up to you. I think it's up to you and what you think is best for you. But like I said, for me, it just depends on what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
And just continuing to talk to them about it and challenge them. And I don't know, I have been able to change people's minds in my family when I think that they have problematic views about certain things.
Right.
So
that's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. But it's the work I'm willing to put in. If I think someone is misinformed or doesn't understand a topic, I'm willing to have a conversation with them.
And it comes from a place of love. Like you genuinely care about them, that you want them to do better. And, you know, but let's flip the script a little bit, because we've kind of talked about how we've experienced toxic behaviors from other people, from our family members. But what if we're the ones that are being toxic? You know, which I know I have exhibited toxic behaviors, and I think a lot of people are in denial of their own, or maybe don't see it, or a lot of people, right? Not everybody, and it's really hard to own up to your own toxic behaviors.
It's hard to change what we were talking about.
Right. It's really hard. And it's hard. Well, it's hard to acknowledge it.
It's hard.
Right? Yeah. But I know that I've exhibited some toxic behaviors. Have you?
That's why I was nodding. I wasn't nodding if you're watching YouTube, I wasn't nodding to say, yeah, Beans has exhibited toxic behaviors.
Oh, that's okay.
I was nodding because I have. So, I definitely have. I think we all have at some point in our lives at some capacity. Because I think toxic behaviors have a range.
Right.
So I would say definitely I have. I'm not perfect. I've never been a perfect person.
Right.
So I definitely have. Have you? You said you have.
Yeah. Tell me one of your toxic behaviors and how you've addressed it.
Oh my gosh. Let me think.
Tell me, Mish. I can share. I'll share one if you want.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, when I was a kid, so my sister and I are very close in age. We're 2 years apart, 2.5. And we would do everything together. My parents would dress us the same. We had the same haircuts. People used to think we were twins. We did all these things, right? But I, as the older one, felt like I needed to be the one to make all the decisions for us. And honestly, I quite literally would boss my sister around, you know? And we reached a point where she got a little bit older and she was like, wait, you're not my mom, you know? And she would like tell me, no, like, I don't agree with this, or I don't want to do this. And so like, there were certain things that I wanted her to do and that she didn't want to. And I was like, but why? I just didn't, I wanted things my way, essentially. And I thought like I had the power to tell her what to do and things like that because I was the older one. And I obviously love her so much. It wasn't that I just wanted control. I think maybe I came from like I wanted to protect her and look out for her, but it was essentially I was toxic towards her in a lot of ways. Right. And I could have been there for her and I'm not going to go into details about this, but I could have been there for her more with with certain things. I could have addressed things differently and really been there for her when she really needed me. Right.
Yeah. That takes a lot for you to say that and open up about that.
And I see it, and I looking at it now, in retrospect, like, wow, I'm a good sister. I understand. I am a good sister and I care for her a lot. But at that time, I didn't realize I was actually hurting more than helping. And I just saw things my way, That's just kind of how I saw it.
Yeah. And I think that's really important that you like acknowledged it and stopped doing that. And because I feel like that happens a lot with sibling dynamics.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And it comes again from a place of love. I want what's best for her, and same for my brother. I want what's best for both of them, But we're all so different, and we're all taking very different paths, and we've made different decisions that led us to different points in our lives, and that is okay.
Yeah, I agree.
That is okay. What about you, Mish? Let us know.
I have not exhibited any toxic behaviors. I'm just like a good ass person. I'm just kidding.
You are perfect.
What you just said just made me think about, okay, so I am a middle child. I am not the oldest and not the youngest. I'm smack dab in the middle. And I guess it was similar to you. One of the toxic behaviors that I can think about was, although I wasn't the oldest, I was treated as the oldest, and I made decisions for my sister at certain times, or like when we would have to travel between my parents because they were divorced, going through airports and getting tickets. That would be me. And I was a middle child. And so for a long time, I don't know if this responsibility was placed on me. I don't think so, but I think I'm the one that stepped up to the plate. Not to say anything negative about my older sister. I love her and I love my younger sister, but I just felt the need to step up. I don't think anyone actually placed that responsibility on me. And the fact that that was just my type of personality. I needed to feel like I needed to make decisions, take, like you said, control of certain situations when I didn't feel like I really had my life under control because I was a child. I had to control something. So I think that's why I did a lot of the reason. I think that's why I took the leadership in a lot of the things that revolved around me and my sisters and our lives. So yeah, I would say that would be one, because to a certain point, I am my own self. I know what's best for me, but I don't necessarily know what's best for my sisters. And I also, my younger sister, we're only a year and like 2 months apart. So we're a lot close. We're just close in general.
Right.
Very similar to you. My mom would dress us the same, like we would look the same, but we definitely are different types of people too. So I would say I had to learn like that I just couldn't make decisions for other people and that they could do it themselves, and I just needed to support them. So I would say that would be one. But I don't know, we kind of I don't know how to say this, but just because that was my I took leadership in a lot of things when we were younger. It was nice for them to because I actually didn't acknowledge, like I didn't wake up one day and was like, oh, like maybe I should not do this anymore. Right. Like they actually had to like tell me like just because this works for you doesn't mean it works for me. And obviously that's not how they said it. I don't know how they said it, but
well, my siblings showed me that, they
they
didn't
did
necessarily tell me, but they showed me, hey, I'm like, this is what's best for me, right? You're doing you, I'm gonna do me. And I think like, yeah, they showed me with their actions, they showed me with how they responded to me. My sister was like, no, I'm not gonna listen to you anymore, right? And and I'm like, good, like and looking at it back now, right, I'm glad that she stood up for herself, and I'm glad that she followed what she wanted to do, right? So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Damn, it's tough. It's tough with siblings. But for me, I don't think it was more of like the actions of me telling my sister what to do. It was just me thinking that certain things or certain ways to do things was the right way to do it.
Right.
And I think I should have clarified that better. Because I didn't actually would tell them what to do. It was just more like, these are our options. And I would say, this one's the best thing to do. We should do this one. And what you're saying is wrong. Obviously, I don't know if as children we all do that, but I did that a lot with my sisters. And I had to learn, like, just because you have an opinion or you think this is the best decision for all of us, it's not.
Right.
And so, I love my sisters, and they taught me how to communicate. They taught me how to be considerate of other people. They taught me that, we're different and that it's okay. And their way of living life and my way of living life is okay.
Yeah.
And we just need to love and support each other. And that comes from my mom too. I think my mom, shout out to my mom, I know you're listening to this. She would see that behavior from me and would say, like, she would call out when I was little. I remember being little and I would be like, we should do this. And this is what we're going to do. Like, little ass me trying to tell my sister what to do.
Yeah.
And my mom would be like, Michelle, just because you're loud and you make a good argument, that doesn't mean that like that's going to happen. Like, it's okay for your sister not to want to do this. It's okay. My mom, what I appreciate about my mom is that although she worked a lot, she was able to see like how we acted as sisters and would call us out on our behaviors.
Right.
So that's one of the behaviors she called me out for, saying that just because you are like this, that doesn't mean that your sister is like this, and that's okay.
Right.
And you should still love and support your sister. So I would have to give a shout out to my mom, because she also called me out on it, and she still does, because she knows that out of all my sisters, I'm the one that, like, if I think I think I still need to work on this. If I think that like something needs to be said or done, I will say it.
Yeah.
And and I think my mom levels me down and calms me down a bit and like calls me out, and my sisters do too, but that's just something, I don't know.
Yeah. My parents showed me that how to support my siblings. Like, I remember my sister and I were placed on the same soccer team when we were little kids, and I loved it and I was so into it, and I love soccer and I've always loved soccer, and I kept going. She didn't enjoy it. She didn't like it. My parents didn't force her to continue, right? They put her in like volleyball, and she did like other things that she wanted to do, that she was interested in, and my parents showed me that was okay, simply by not forcing her to play soccer just because I would have loved her to keep playing with me, right? But I'm not going to force it. This is something that I love to do, doesn't mean you have to love it, right? That's just just a more milder example, but they set that example for me of how to support somebody in what they love to do and what they want to do and who they want to be, right? So I don't know, you learn a lot. You do learn a lot from your family. I've learned a lot from my siblings.
But it's hard.
Yeah.
I know we talk about like behaviors and toxic behaviors, but it's hard. I think it's hard to acknowledge it. I know right now we're like acknowledging them like nonchalantly, but it wasn't easy to go through that. And I think it's still something that like we're going through and we're working on it. And the fact that like we're acknowledging it, I hope that the people who are listening, you can acknowledge and reflect on your behaviors and maybe how they might not be the most positive or the most I don't know, productive. I don't want to say that word, but maybe they're just not the best behaviors that you can exhibit towards people. And maybe you can reflect on that and acknowledge whatever it is that you're doing. And if you think that you're not doing anything unproblematic, then that's a problem too.
That's problematic.
Yeah, like there is something, maybe you just don't want to address it, but I think that takes a lot to do, and yeah, it's okay.
Just extend grace to yourself and sit down with yourself and reflect and think about your values. What do you value in a relationship? What do you provide in the relationships you have with people?
And not just family, it could be like friends too.
Anybody. Yeah. So wow, I feel like that's still such a surface level of
it's such a
what family means and everything, but we just can't talk about it all in one sitting. But I think we did get through a lot, and I hope y'all took something from this, even if it's just value yourself and know what you want in relationships, what you can accept and what you don't accept, and it's hard, but it's possible to set those boundaries for yourself. And sometimes it'll be necessary to set those boundaries.
Yeah. And you have your own definition of family.
Exactly.
And, just I definitely think we can talk way more about this topic. And I definitely got emotional. Oh my goodness. I legit told Beans, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna do this. I was like, yes, you are. And I was like, I'll be fine. I got this. I've talked about this so many fucking times in my life. And then I just couldn't help it. Okay. That was it for our episode today. Thank you for listening and watching me cry. We hope that you have taken something from this, and share with your colleagues, your friends, your family, and leave us a comment, subscribe, and follow us on our social media. And that would be it. So many ands, and that's it. And
that is all for today. We're going to be coming at you with another episode next week. We're going to keep it going. Hopefully you're enjoying our conversations.
Yeah, that was deep.
We have some guests coming up.
Yep.
Some guests lined up to join us. Some very special excited people. So please stay tuned for that. And with that, yes, it was a very deep one. And we have deep conversations. We like to have deep conversations here, but we also like to have light ones. So we're a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you at the next one. Bye.
Bye.